is sugar the enemy? I mean, you just talked about Tony the Tiger and the characters that they made so that I remember sitting in front of my little TV and watching and yeah, wanting to eat that big bowl of Captain Crunch.
Yeah. Well, sugar isn't the culprit all by itself. You need certain minerals in order to process sugar. In order for insulin to work properly, you need certain minerals. So, the real or one of the root causes is going to be a mineral deficiency, which is coming from a lack of nutrition in the soil. So, we
Oh, I
don't
saw that.
have, yeah, we don't have as much nutrition in the soil. So, our plants aren't as nutritious as they were 100 years ago.
Right.
And, and so, if you have all these people walking around with nutritional deficiencies and they can't process sugar, and then the food giants are pushing sugar down your throat, well, it's the perfect storm. And what better way to get people into this medical prison than to give them type 2 diabetes?
Yeah.
Because type 2 diabetes operates on a scale, it's progressive. So if you don't reverse it, it progresses. And by the time you're 20 years deep on diabetes, well, now your kidneys are going to start going. Now your heart is going to start going. Now your eyesight is going to start going. Now your limbs are going to start deteriorating. So type 2 diabetes leads to tons and tons and tons of more revenue streams. And so this is all an elaborate scheme, and
Wow.
nobody knows it.
It's just so breaking. I mean, just the greed of it. So, speaking of the soil, is there anything people can do to like add some manure, like if they're growing their own garden? I mean, what what are the options for folks?
Well, supplements. We have to supplement ourselves. We have to take supplements. It is a human handicap now. So it is very necessary, especially powders. Powders are the most prolific way to get high nutrition because it's in its kind of raw form, but it's kind of uh, freeze dried into a powder, you know?
Yeah.
As far as the actual gardens and farms go, they can put supplements in the soil. Right now, they use a fertilizer that only has 3 nutrients, and there's 90 essential nutrients. So that's only 3 of 90. So we're kind of doomed here, you know, and nobody's talking about it, at least on the mainstream.
Yeah. Well, I met with my nutritionist from a couple years ago. Just a few weeks ago, we had a little Zoom chat just to catch up and say hi and do a little healing session. And I told her, I said, I tell everybody you saved my life because when I was at my worst and thankfully found my way to her, yeah, I was probably taking 20, 30 different, I would try certain supplements. My body wouldn't react well to it, but then I would try others. And we found what was working for my system. And
Right.
then everything started to align, like everything started, my vitamin D levels started to straighten out. My vitamin C levels straightened out. It was like, all of a sudden my body was like, oh, okay, now you're giving me what we need. So yeah, again, I'd say yes to all of that because I've lived it.
Yeah, and going to someone that worked with you is key. If you go to your medical monopoly doctor, they're not going to do that. And they don't know anything about nutrition. And their blood labs don't even, check anything. I mean, they don't even check for vitamin C, and that's the most famous vitamin in the world.
Yeah.
And
No,
if
I
you
had to ask them.
if you're low in vitamin C, you get a condition called scurvy. you know, so uh, these white coats, they don't check for the full scope of what makes up your body. the raw materials that make up your body. That's nutrition.